Hello, beautiful artisans. Welcome to Echo Art with Carmella-T. I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday. If you are new to the channel, we create with all recycled material supplies and fabrics. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for coming back. I love your comments and your suggestions, and I have written them down. So we're going to review those first before we go into how the art and craft show went. So, someone's asked, can you make the square yo-yos? Yes, we will do the square yo-yos. We'll do those this week. Um, Coffee cup cozies. Can you make coffee cup cozies? Now, the ones they're talking about are these. I believe it's these that I showed. I brought these to the craft fair, and everybody simply just absolutely loved these. I kept the price way down. Nobody bought them. Anyway, we'll get into the review. And then someone at the craft fair asked, was not asked, but she was commenting on crocheting and having struggling with tension. And yes, tension of your yarn is something that crocheters struggle with at the beginning quite often, usually, until they get really oriented. And you know what it is? It's practice and just doing it again and again and again. And however, I do have a couple of tips, and I'll be doing a video on that this week too. So, and then there's some other videos we're doing also, but these we're going to do. Okay, so I gotta tell you, there were definitely thousands of people at this art and craft fair. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Um, and I did okay. I mean, for the fact that I had a very little table. Now, I want to talk about the table before we get into what sold and what didn't. So the table was 2 by 10, and I was kind of being a little facetious and kind of laughing about it. Well, where am I going to sit? How are you going to sit behind? You can't sit behind the table if you only have 2 feet, right? So people were sitting next to their tables, and their tables were up against the wall. And I did find out that you can buy a table that's 18 inches wide by the lady who was next to me. So it's 18 inches wide. And I don't know if it's 10 feet or how many feet or 8 feet, but it's something like that. So she got it at Amazon. Boom. Okay, now I know where she got those tables. Good to know. Now I went with a card table. So I was very nervous about this was my backup plan. If the card table, because it measured just a few inches over 24 inches, but if it came out too far, my backup plan, and always have a backup plan, because you could risk going home or not having a setup, seriously. Because I got to tell you, I'm going to comment on the organization of this in a second. But so the backup plan was to put my the rack up, because I knew for sure that was about 2 feet at the base, and then it would just come up in height. So I had made sure I brought that along. Now, as it turned out, because I fell into a very odd space, I actually ended up way more than 2 feet for width. So it was just a fluke. It was because I was in a little cove, and I asked her, is this correct? Is this right? She's like, yes. So I was happy as a pig in mud, because I'm pretty sure if I ended up against the wall, I would have come out too far. So, and I had lovely neighbors, and that was very nice. So, and they both did very well. So, before we go over the items that sold, so the organization of this art and craft fair was exquisite. No, it was exquisite. Now, I did HR. I was a manager for many years. And I have to tell you, you have to cross your T's, dot your I's, and all of it. And the way you do that is communication. and it's communication in a clear manner and repeat if you have to. Now, they had a system set up where people were point on with their timing, they were point on with their purpose, they were point on with their attitude, they were very kind. So when you got there, they actually had the Boy Scouts with their leaders set up to help us vendors into our spaces. So they'd have like a group, they'd all carry something, and boom, you were there. I mean, it was amazing. Um, and they were polite. Everybody was polite. That is key because when you spend money nowadays, you do not want attitude. You do not want to hear, I don't know, or they're supposed to. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear the answer. And nobody was punitive. Everybody was relaxed, as artists are. However, they were, what do I want to say, mindful of what they were there for. So, yeah, I mean, I have done events and they had the brochure, and what really touched my heart is my name was actually listed as a vendor. And that really touched my heart because I have been in many shows where my name has been skipped over. They haven't added me. They don't even say I'm there. They had everybody listed. So yes, they did. I can't even say enough about it. So the only other thing I like to say about it is oh, a couple things. Now at the end of the day, they had people holding the doors open, and if you did need help, they were finding you help. So that was exquisite also. Now, oh, the other thing that they did, I gotta take a sip of this because I'm still really wiped out from yesterday. They had people go around um, and ask if you needed to leave your table. Like, do you need to go get a cup of coffee or take a break to ladies' room or just take a break? They would stand there at your table. Now, typically at many craft fairs, especially really small ones, you'll have your neighbor kind of just watch. But they actually had people assigned. Now, this was a large event. This had 100 vendors. So for here in Vermont, it filled the whole school. When I did go get a cup of coffee, the hallways were so crowded, like I didn't know where I was. I could not tell by looking at the wall or the ceiling or looking for the light down the hallway. Um, but the coffee was strong. It was like real coffee. So that surprised me. It wasn't kind of like a half brand. It was so coffee. So I was really, really happy about that. and and yeah, there were like vendors like everywhere. So next year I've already made up my mind, if possible, if I can get a larger space, I will absolutely pay for that. I was taken back with the coordination and the positive attitude. I just was in heaven because it's hard to find that nowadays. So kudos to you, everybody at the Williston Art and Craft. Just absolutely amazing job. So, with that, so what sold? Okay. What sold? This gets me every single year. The things that I thought were going to sell pretty much didn't. And the things that I'm like, that's not going to sell, sold. So we'll get into it here. Now, you remember last year, I did my Granny Square hats. And when I was going through my bin, oh, and I'm gonna tell you a few things that happened, but I was going through my bins, and I almost forgot my hats. Almost. I actually didn't even put these out for about, I'd say, almost 2 hours in. So, now we got there early. I got there. Everybody got there early. Like you needed to be there. If you weren't there by 8:30, you were going to lose your table for sure. I started out this door at 7:30, And I didn't actually get out this door till 20 minutes later. And the reason is I forgot two things and had to come back a couple times. And I almost forgot my morning medicine. So I take just medicine in the morning. That's the only time I take it. If I don't take it, I can't take it till the next day. So I almost forgot. But off I went, and I finally got there. Got there 8 o'clock. It was very close by. It was like less than a mile from my home, which I'm so happy about. But these didn't get put onto the table till about 2 hours later. And then they were selling like hotcakes. So, yes, my hats were going. Now, hats is something I've been doing for 30 years. And they always go. The table has, what I'm wearing right now is one of my hats. This is one of my hats. I get very, very creative. And I like to, I used to make really crazy, we were going to make crazy hats this year and we just haven't done it. I used to make really crazy hats. I don't know if they would go nowadays. People are very stressed and they're looking for something comfortable. They're looking for something that looks nice. And you got to tone it down a little bit nowadays with the aesthetics because it affects the emotion, the mindset, all of it. It affects everything. When you look at something and you smile, you don't even know sometimes you're smiling. It just affects you that way. So the hats went really well. The yo-yo quilts did not go, not one. Now I got to tell you, I was really amazed. This is what I learned. You learn things when you go to the art craft fairs. You want to observe, you want to listen, you want to learn. Okay, you learn. Many, many women, um, older actually than me. I would say maybe close to 80. I would say um, looked at the granny, like they went right to the granny yo-yos. I'm sorry, the granny squares, the yo-yos, yo-yo quilts. And they said, my grandmother used to make these. And then they said, but she made them teeny tiny. And I was showing her like this teeny tiny. So yeah, she goes, I've never seen them this big. So, and it wasn't just one lady, it was a number of them. And I told them what the sizes were, this and that, and invited them, to come join us. Now, I gotta tell you, um, I don't know that age group. So, our age group, senior citizens, were the ones who recognized the yo-yo quilts. I find that interesting because a younger set didn't even look at them and say, what is this? Anyway, there's a little gap there, but there's room for people to learn what yo-yo quilts are. That's what I learned from that one. Now, the other thing I learned is so their grandmothers made them teeny tiny and more of a blanket, so they were bigger than what I made. Some people didn't even, they could not, and this happens a lot, unless you have on your tag. Well, this is, for example, this is a half beanie that can fit above your ear or just halfway down your ear with your earring showing. This is for summer, spring, or early fall. People don't automatically think of that. They can't, you're the advertiser, you're the promoter, you're the one who created this item, so you're going to tell them it's what this is. So it's the same with the yo-yo quilts. I did have on there and a few signs that they were lap blankets or chair blankets. However, people weren't really getting that. Now, I should have also put, because we talked about this when we made them, is that they could be a table centerpiece. So I'm going to bring them with me again this coming Saturday for another art affair. and I'll have on there the three different things that they can be. They can be a wall hanging, they can be a table centerpiece, or yes, they can be home decor for your chair or couch. So, and we'll just leave it like that. So now there was something else that I got to tell you, I was very happy that I sold. Now I went first. I'm going to just preface this. I went this morning to get this collar at a thrift shop. I paid 99 cents for the collar, but I got it because I realized I have to show people how the bandanas are fitting on to the collar. So what I did, and I was telling you I wanted to make more of these, I grabbed a few of my granny squares and I put a few together there. So I ended up selling about a half a dozen, which I was very happy about. Now, I I love this. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is absolutely adorable. And when I get a little pet again, which I hope to one day, I'll be making her or him all kinds of little bandanas. But it's super easy to put on the collar. So with that, these went now. And no, so this is what I learned though. The one thing that people were wondering is based on the size of their dog, which they didn't have with them, is this going to fit? Is it going to fit the collar? So I could assure them that they'd be able to get it onto the collar. And it's either going to be a small bandana on your dog or it's going to be a little bit larger. But what I decided is that the next time, which will be this weekend, and we're going to make some Boro Sashiko doggy bandanas. And the way we're going, I'll show you how we're going to do it. But we're going to work with a hem. We're going to work with a hemmed piece, but I'll show you how. And so these uh, need a sizing chart. You need a sizing chart, and these need to be sized. You need to say, this will fit, this is about 13 inches. It will fit 13-inch, a dog with a 13-inch neck diameter, or 13 to 15. I mean, you can have a couple of inches in between the ends of the bandana. And so I'll figure that out. But I think that will be helpful to people that this size, for example, will fit typically a dog 35, 40 pounds. Most people know what their dogs weigh. And many people actually do know the neck diameter because they've bought a collar. So you could even say small, medium, or large. They usually know their dogs are either small, medium, or large. So something like that I will do next time. I'm going to make a bunch more of these because I have been a pet owner my entire life. And only since I lost Sophia have I not had a pet. But you know what? If I had a pet right now, I mean this fits. This is lovely. I would buy a number of these for the holidays. So those went. Um these washcloths that I was tying up like this as little kind of stocking stuffers or something like that. I don't think people, and if only a few of us at the fair, a few ladies did realize and notice that not a lot of people are making the washcloths. But what has happened is the price of this cotton yarn has, it's almost doubled. It's gone way up. So I don't know if they were looking for a number of washcloths at a lower price. As it is, these weren't priced that high. I think I had them at 4. I had a set like this at 4. So I think that maybe they were looking for more. I'm not sure. I think I only sold one or two of those. So yeah, but the hats, oh, okay. Now this is the other thing that happened. So a lovely lady came along and she noticed the bin. I had one of my bins open because I was kind of putting things in and out of it and kind of just working out of it. I was making yo-yos and in between downtime and whatnot. Anyway, a lady came up and so she goes, "What's in that bin?" She saw my Boro Sashiko artwork. She saw my pieces, the Boro Sashiko visible stitching inspired pieces. Now, they were pieces that some of them I had actually just stored in there because I made them so long ago. But she wanted these pieces, and as she pulled them out, another lady was noticing things and wanted to buy a couple things. So I ended up selling a number of things, and she understood. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is something, believe it or not, I know we're in 2024 and we've been recycling since our kids were teeny tiny, for 40 years, right? We've been recycling 40 plus years, like diligently as a society. However, I noticed when I said with the yo-yo quilts that they were all scrap fabrics, there was an actual physical step. Not everybody is on board yet. Not that everybody will be, but there are some people who still haven't converted or grown to the place where, yeah, I really do want to support the concept of recycling. So but it is like that. I've met many people like that, and I talk to them when they create about considering anyway, because you know what, this fabric was brand new when the person bought it, and they kept it in a beautiful place stored. You can tell it was folded. It was nothing wrong with this fabric. Absolutely beautiful fabric, vintage fabric now, but just a lovely. If I went into a special vintage store to buy the vintage fabric, I would have paid a pretty penny. But this way, I'm saving a few bucks, but I'm helping things from going to the landfill. So, anyway, it's an opportunity to kind of, talk to people a little bit more about using um, recycled fabrics, materials, and supplies. Anyway, this lady came along. She was absolutely lovely. She totally got it. She got the artistic vibe and the humbleness of the Boro Sashiko. I didn't have any Kawandi pieces. I don't think I did. Or maybe I had one Kawandi piece with me, Kawandi inspired. But she loved it, totally appreciated it, totally got it. And I did tell her, I was honest. I said I didn't bring it out because a lot of times at the art and craft fairs, people don't get it. They don't understand it. They look at it and they just because it's an intricate piece of art. It's a very creative piece of art. It's very creative and it takes time. So what people are used to and can appreciate or relate to is something more like this. Is a granny square, it's a hat, it's functional, and that's kind of more what you see happening at the craft fairs. Now, my Boro inspired, yes, I go to my exhibits, I set up, people get it because I'm in the art world and I'm very comfortable there. So anyway, God bless this lady who came along because she pulled pieces out and she wanted to know, and she ended up buying some pieces. So yeah, I'm happy as a pig in mud over that. So she made my day, and I'm still smiling when I think of her. So that was just a lovely. So anyway, that is how it went. Those are the things that sold. The key fobs that I make for Boro Sashiko, people were interested, they were looking at it, didn't know what it was. But I think we need to make more of those. And because people were like, okay, this is interesting. And so that was good. Now the other thing I observed is the lip balm holders that I made. Um, um, the younger set like those and just kind of, and we're looking at them and going back and forth, and so they were somewhat interesting to people, but they weren't like a pop. They weren't like the hats. Okay. So the hats were, and the doggy bandanas, those are the two things. And I really did think the yo-yo quilts would, but we're going to keep working on our yo-yo quilts, and we may come up with something that just is, people can relate to. And that's more art and craft fairs. So, um, anyway, with that, what we're going to do, I'm going to be honest with you, I was going to, piece these more together, and I am so tired. It's not that I can't do things, but my muscles, everything hurts. Age. I need a day to recuperate. So, and it is. I mean, even though they had help, there was help there. Uh, thank goodness I was still wiped out. But with that, yeah, so we're going to have a really fun week, because next week, the art and craft fair that I'm in, I don't know if it's an art and craft fair, it's an art event at the Guild. And you've been there before with me. I will bring you again. Now, I couldn't really have my phone on a lot at this particular art and craft fair because it was going to be noisy and it was disturbing some of the people for the few minutes I did have it on. However, at the Art Guild, I'm a, be a little freer to put it on and off and to kind of take a couple little videos, bring you along with me, and we'll have a lot of fun. And we will be preparing this week on what to do. So on the things to bring. But first of all, I think I'm just going to sit this afternoon and crochet some more granny squares for some hats. We'll piece some hats together. And tomorrow, yes, tomorrow we will, you'll see the border, we'll have the border done of the yo-yo quilt that we're working on. And then we're going to start creating our masterpiece of different size yo-yos on the inside. It will be so much fun. And then yes, we're going to have to do some more Boro Sashiko inspired. People are looking for that too. So with that, I hope that everybody has an absolutely beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you Monday.